Welcome to another episode of Inside York Tech, a podcast featuring students, staff, and alumni of the York County School of Technology.
Welcome to another episode of Inside York Tech. I'm your host, Nick Staub. You're in for another great episode because we are joined by 6 of our high school class officers who will share a little bit about themselves and what they've accomplished so far this school year. They are Allie Wersinger, Major Harrison, Marcus Lebron, John Cruz-Valentin, Hayden Mathena, and Kiyan Doorandish. I'm excited to kick off this lineup of great guests with Allie Wersinger, who is the president of the class of 2028. She is from the Spring Grove Area School District and is enrolled in our Medical Professions program. Allie, thanks for joining us. How are you today?
Good. Thanks for having me.
My first question is, why did you want to be the president for the class of 2028?
I saw a lot of my friends were running for president or treasurer, and I just was like, I've never tried that before, so I wanted to try something new and get myself into a lot of stuff at this new school. So I didn't think I was going to get it, but I tried it anyways.
That's awesome that you chose to get involved here, first year at a new school. What's it been like as part of that transition process and going through that first half of your first year at York Tech?
It's stressful, but it's also really fun because I'm always busy. So I just think it's more fun that way.
Allie, if you could tell me some of your goals that you have for the 2024-25 school year and maybe some of the things that Student Council is planning.
We're planning a lot of stuff for homecoming next year, and we're planning the 9th grade trip. We're not quite sure yet, but we're thinking about having like a 3-hour DJ fest or something. I don't know. That's pretty exciting. I hope we can plan more like that.
Yeah, that's very exciting. I mean, I'm familiar with the senior class trip, but the 9th grade trip, I'm not as familiar with that. Is that a new idea for this school year, or has that happened before?
It's more like an event, but we're still thinking on whether we should like go somewhere or just stay at the school, which I'm pretty sure we're going to have to stay at the school.
What's your involvement in student council like? How many times do you meet? What are the meetings like?
Well, student council, we meet pretty much like once a month, and we talk about pep rallies and like what we're supposed to wear some days, and we just plan what's going on for the school year. It's pretty fun.
Well, it's pretty inspirational to see a first-year student come into York Tech and take such a big leadership role right out of the gate. So thank you for your leadership and can't wait to see the great things that you accomplish here in the next couple months.
Thank you.
All right, and next up we have Major Harrison, who is the vice president for the class of 2028, lives in the York Suburban School District, and is also part of our Medical Professions program. Major, how are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So let's dive right in. What can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you like doing both in and out of school?
I like to play volleyball. I'm a libero. And I like to play video games, and I like to take photos on my camera.
Why student council? Why did you want to be the vice president?
I just like the leadership role. I find it quite fun for me, and it just comes natural with me.
This is your first year at York Tech.
Yeah.
And obviously this is a major leadership role. What gave you the motivation to seek this out now instead of maybe waiting a year or two?
My friend Allie, she actually asked me to be her vice president. I was going to be the treasurer. I decided to be vice president because of her.
Are there any major initiatives that you've planned as a class or as an entire student council that you're looking forward to or that you'd be willing to share with us now?
HOCO, we planned the theme, and we're trying to plan an event soon during March.
Do you have any goals for the 2024-25 school year?
Just making sure my grades are still good, make sure I get distinguished honor roll.
Major, thanks so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it, and it's awesome to see your leadership in action through Student Council.
Thank you.
All right, and next up we have Marcus Lebron. He is the vice president for the class of 2026. He hails from the school district of the city of York, and he's part of our architecture and construction management program here at York Tech. Marcus, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I want to get right into some of the things that you do here at York Tech besides just student council. You're involved in a lot. I mean, we're talking international baccalaureate classes, a member of the National Honor Society, you run cross country, and on top of that, you're the vice president for the junior class. How do you juggle it all?
It's kind of like spaced out. So meetings for certain groups happen certain days.
Does it feel as busy as it sounds?
Yeah, a little bit. It can get frustrating sometimes, but you just gotta push through.
As the vice president of the junior class, do you have some goals or accomplishments that you want to try and hit this school year?
For the class officers, this year we're doing prom, which will have a few meetings about like the theme and all that stuff. We don't really make big changes in the school. That is kind of for student council, which is like the pep rally and certain things like that.
Prom is one of those big ticket items. How do you get your arms around planning such a big event?
The previous year, sophomores, we did homecoming, and it's kind of just like working through like picking decorations and stuff. What food do we want? How can we afford it? What food trucks? Certain things like that. So it kind of you just have to think, what does the school want? You have to probably get some feedback from other students.
I didn't realize that students were such an integral part of the prom planning. That's got to be cool when you end up going to the event and you can look around and say I was involved in making this happen.
hmm
What did that feel like last year when you helped plan homecoming?
When you're first planning it, just feels like a bunch of things, but then when you see it come together, it's really nice.
We've talked about what you do here at York Tech. What would we find you doing on a weekend? What are some of your hobbies and interests outside of school?
Usually schoolwork, probably IB. Other than that, personal hobbies, I just like to hang out outside sometimes, like walk my dogs. I also try to find time to like practice my guitar, sometimes reading, maybe journaling.
Can you tell us a little bit about what is IB and what do you get out of it? What are the benefits?
So IB is like advanced classes. It depends what you want to get into. So there's IB biology, IB design tech, IB language literature. I personally take language literature and design tech, which in design tech is kind of like creating your own models of things. Right now we're working on a cardboard chair, which would have to support my weight, obviously. And we have to figure out comfortability for users and certain features that we want to incorporate in the model. For language literature, we study 3 novels throughout the year. One is in the summer. And for that, you kind of just dive into the language part analysis in the books. And we also touch on some problems around the world.
Well, I can personally vouch for at least your IB design class with Mr. Johnson because I was up there taking pictures when you were designing bridges out of cardboard. And it was unbelievable the amount of weight that those could withstand. What was it like to go through all those phases, the conceptual design to creating it and then finally testing it?
At first, I feel like it's difficult because you have to come from nothing. But once you really design, think about different components and just like start putting things together, it isn't too frustrating or isn't too hard.
You've clearly found your path at York Tech. You're excelling in all avenues. So really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day to come down here and join us on the podcast. And next up, we have John Cruz-Valentin. He is the president of the class of 2026 from the school district of the city of York. And he is part of our computer programming and interactive media program here at York Tech. John, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. So obviously, much like some of our other guests on the podcast today, you're kind of a do-it-all student here at York Tech. Drama club participant, a member of International Baccalaureate, member of National Honor Society, a member of Skills USA, and also the president of the junior class. How do you do it all?
I'd say being prepared to know that your workload is going to be stacked and being prepared to organize it in a way that you can handle all of it efficiently and effectively.
You're in a pretty unique program, computer programming and interactive media, because some of the things that you guys do there are really neat and innovative. Are there any projects that you're working on now that you can give us a little insight?
We've been recreating games on the internet, such as Neopets is one version.
You said Neopets.
Yes.
I'm old. I don't know what that is. What are Neopets?
So Neopets is an online game where you basically adopt a pet, you feed it, you take care of it, you can edit the information on the pets, you can play mini games to get currency and buy and sell stuff. We're currently working on the initial minimal viable product for it, which is basically just having the pet and being able to feed it.
I know when you recreate these video games, it involves an astronomical amount of coding. How did you learn it, and how do you get to the point where you feel proficient?
I think I got to the point initially, like in middle school, where I was the one more knowledgeable about computers in my household. I knew most of the stuff better than, like, I would say, like my parents or my siblings, and so I got into the IT program, and then when I came into school my freshman and sophomore year, I felt better in coding than I did in the other subjects.
Some of those skills probably translates into one of the organizations with which you're involved, Skills USA, and I see you're wearing a Skills USA t-shirt today. Can you tell us a little bit about that organization and the benefits you get from it?
Well, Skills USA, it's a national organization. We spend our time throughout the year competing to districts, states, and even nationals and even worlds. Uh, you could do it through your technical. You could do it through your technical program, or you could do it in other skills under other professional skills available. Other things we work on is community outreach events, which is to help our community both environmentally and even locally.
Just recently, we had a large group of students travel to competitions on two separate days where they compared the skills that they've learned in their shop versus other students from across the region. What are these competitions like?
Well, when you first get to school on whichever day the competitions are to be, all the Skills USA competitors meet out on a bus at a specific location. We all travel together. I have competitions coming up in March, I believe. It's state competitions.
You're clearly busy, but you found time to be the president of the junior class, and that's why you're here today. So I want to dive into that a little bit. Why did you elect to run for the presidency, and what do you hope to accomplish?
Well, initially I ran last year for vice president, and I got vice president. One thing I did last year was I allowed for clubs to be represented in the cafeteria during the first few weeks of school. We've been saying that I'm pretty involved. I wanted to help other clubs get recognition, especially ones with low turnouts.
Why so passionate about clubs and organizations, and can you tell us a little bit about the planning and the effort that went into to make that happen?
The effort for it was, I've heard from a bunch of students, teachers, family members, that it's very important to get involved. And I think that every student should at least be involved in one extracurricular activity. Even if it might be difficult to maintain, I feel like that students should be able to communicate with their peers and find something that they truly like outside of school.
Do you have any personal or individual goals for the remainder of this school year and maybe next school year as well?
A personal goal for me is to get into a good college. Starting this year, we're looking at different colleges, like obviously like the Ivies, Penn State.
Well, with a resume like yours, I have to imagine you're going to stand out during the application process for college. So, first, I want to thank you for being on the podcast today and certainly wish you luck in that college search and during the rest of your time here at York Tech.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. And now we have Hayden Mathena, the president for the senior class, the class of 2025. He's from the Southern York County School District, and he's in our network systems and cybersecurity program. Hayden, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Obviously, as the president of the senior class, top of the top as far as class officers go, can you tell me a little bit about the events that you're working to plan and some of your goals for this school year?
Well, it's been a nice year so far. Before, well, kind of like as soon as school started, me and my vice president, we held a senior sunrise event just to kind of like get all the seniors together. We can watch the sunrise on our final school year. It was a nice little homage to that. We're mainly in as class officers. We're trying to get our senior trip get together, trying to figure out like senior quotes, senior song, all that senior stuff that's going to be in the yearbook. That's our main thing right now. For student council, we did the pep rally in the beginning of the year. I think we're also going to work towards a spring pep rally to shed some light on this spring sports.
So a pep rally would be really cool. Do you have any other senior specific events planned for the rest of the school year?
Kind of like a flip to the sunrise at the end of the school year. What we want to do is we want to do a sunset, and we don't know if that's actually been done before, but we feel like that'd be cool to like close out our like chapter in our lives of high school, that we began our senior year with a sunrise and we're going to end it with a sunset.
You're involved in a ton of stuff. So I'm going to read the list here. We've got you're taking international baccalaureate classes. You're a member of National Honor Society. You run cross country, and you mentioned to me that your favorite potentially of all of them is track. Tell me a little bit about staying busy through extracurricular activities, and then some of the events that you run in track. Your favorite event?
Being in all these activities and all these groups, it makes it kind of hard because I remember even in the beginning of the school year, like all the first meetings were on the same day. So I had to pick and choose what meeting I was at. And then through schoolwork as well, I miss some meetings sometimes, but I really make sure that I take it upon myself to go to the teacher advisor of the group so I really understand still what's going on. Through National Honor Society right now, I know we're planning a park trip, our annual park trip, where we go down to the what is it, Township Park? Is that what the park next door is?
Yeah, I think York Township
Yeah,
Park.
York Township Park, where we clean up all the trash. We start with our school, we clean up trash around the parking lot, and then we kind of just migrate down to the park. It's a nice community service act.
And you're an officer for NHS as well, right?
Yes, I am the president of NHS.
President of NHS, president of the senior class. But I don't want to skip out on track here. So you mentioned track's your favorite activity. What about track is it that you love? And then what are your events that you run?
I started doing it my sophomore year. And from my sophomore year to my junior year, and then senior year coming up, for the boys team, we have been undefeated Division III boys champions 2 years in a row now. And we're coming up on our third year. And I'm really hoping we can get that trifecta for undefeated champions. That would be great. My first year, my sophomore year, I run the 400, the 4x4, and the 4x8. And there's something about the 400 that really inspires me to give it my all and do my best. I'm really trying to gun for that high school record for our school for the 400. I feel like this year I can actually achieve it.
And what is that record?
Oh boy, I think it's either like 48.5 or 49.5, something like that.
How close are you to that right now? And do you think you can have a realistic shot at it?
I was really sick at the end of my last track season. I had a rough end. I ended up running only like a 52.5. But this year in January, my first meet back, I already ran a 54 indoors, which is like 2 laps around the track because indoor track's 200 meters. Based off that, I'm really thinking that I can get my time down to where I ended off my last season before spring track even starts. And I think if I can do that, I'll have a great trajectory to get the time.
Ending senior year, obviously everyone wants to go out with a bang. Are there any activities or events coming up that you're really looking forward to?
I'm really looking forward to prom. I'm going to end up running for prom king. So that's like my main in-school event I'm really looking forward to.
What are your plans after you graduate?
I'm actually going to enlist in the United States Marines.
Thank you for your future service. I know you'll be a perfect Marine for sure. Just the way you're so regimented, I've gotten to know you a little bit during your time here. For sure, you'll fit in perfectly. So, Hayden, thank you for being with us here today. Do you have any final thoughts on either the podcast or your senior year?
No. So far, it's just been a good ride. And this podcast idea is really cool. So thank you for having me.
And now we have Kiyan Doorandish. He's the vice president for the class of 2025, our group of seniors. He lives in the Southeastern School District and is part of our electronics and IT support program. Kiyan, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. We'll start with the idea behind this podcast. You came to me and you had this idea for highlighting some of the class officers and student council. How'd you come up with that idea?
How I came up with that idea is just by seeing different schools and how they socialize their different class officers in many different ways, so kids can reach out, and if they have any questions or concerns, or if they have any ideas, they can pitch them to us. So I think it's a great idea.
I think it was a great idea, which is exactly why we're here recording this episode. And I want to learn more about your involvement as the vice president and some of the things that you're hoping to accomplish with student council. Can you tell us about those?
So at the end of the year, I'm looking forward to the senior t-shirt competition where kids can enter in different designs and potentially be the winning t-shirt for our senior class shirt. And we also have our senior trip. We're looking at Six Flags, Knoebels, or Hershey Park, and we're going to have a voting out soon to the student class to see which ones they want to go to. But at the end of the year, we have our senior sunset, so that should be very fun for all of us. We plan to have a kickball game, and hopefully we can sponsor with the school to get some food trucks, and it'd be a great time. So I hope you guys come out to it.
What's it feel like knowing that you get to represent the senior class and also the larger student body? And is there any pressure that comes along with that?
I think definitely there is pressure, but as the years as I've grown as a student at York Tech, I feel I'm more amenable to be at this position. So my friend from last year, Macy, she was the vice president, so she taught me how to do different things and how to honestly like respect everyone in the class and how to give everyone's voice out. So I think by her being vice president, it really helped me out in the long run.
What would be your advice to students who are considering getting more involved and maybe joining student council who haven't been involved in the past?
I think for students who are not involved in the past who want to join student council, I think it's a great opportunity. You get to set up events, you get to pretty much organize different themes every spirit week. Honestly, it's such a great atmosphere. It's amazing people, and it's just people who really want to push forward like great things for the school, and especially when they graduate. You have kids who want to leave their mark, and this is how you do it, and it looks very good on resumes, and companies, colleges look at it, and it's very crucial to be active in school and extracurriculum.
Kiyan, the class officers and members of student council, they really work hand in hand to make a lot of cool things happen at the school. But we also have class advisors and student council advisors to help guide you and keep you on the right path. So I definitely want to give them a shout out. Can you tell us the names of those advisors and a little bit about them?
Yes, of course I can. So first we have Mr. Henderson, who's commercial arts. Next we have Chef Tolly, who's in culinary. And then lastly we have Miss Little. Mr. Henderson and Chef Tolly are our class advisors, so they pretty much organize graduation. So they are very crucial into the future and how we organize different events, especially senior trip. So that's definitely plays a big part. So I would love to shout them out. And Miss Little is like a mom at the school, so she loves everyone and she helps out with student council. So she's the one who hosts all the meetings and plans everything and buys everything. So big shout out to Miss Little.
Kiyan, you've been pretty vocal about wanting to make your senior year the best year yet. What are some of the ways that you've done that, and what are some of those events coming up that you can't wait to experience as a senior?
What I'm looking forward to is definitely our senior trip, which is going to be so fun. I mean, I always imagined going to amusement park with all of my friends from school, so this is definitely going to be something to enjoy. And just honestly graduating, I think just reaching that final step in your life of high school is it's very honorable, and I think everyone should just enjoy it while it's here.
And before we can get to that commencement ceremony, you still have some time left here at York Tech in the electronics and IT support program. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've learned in that program and what you've yet to cover?
So what I've learned in the past 2 years of having Mr. Byler is probably just learning how to fix each motherboard and how to install different things on all the computers. I think just having the freedom of being able to install different video games and just having that freedom as like being like a coworker or employee is very beneficial to us because it gets us ready for like what we're going to take on in the real world.
If we could fast forward a little bit, I'd like to learn more about what are your plans after graduation?
I got accepted into Penn State, Maine, and I'm majoring in information technology. And after my 4 years at Penn State, I plan on going to law school to study intellectual property. So that ties into information technology by working with patents, copyright, plagiarism. So it's a good field to be in.
And finally, before I let you go, do you have a final message for the senior class? Any thoughts to share with them before we end the episode?
I would say for the senior class, if I had a message, I would say don't wait to push for what you want. Take the opportunity and do it now before it's too late.
Shooting to make the most of the rest of the senior year, and that's what we love about Kiyan. He's working hard to make senior year the best for the entire class. So Kiyan, thanks again for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Staub.
That does it for this episode of Inside York Tech. I'd like to thank our 6 guests for joining the show and sharing their unique insights. And I hope you'll join us again soon to learn more about the people who make York Tech special.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Inside York Tech. Catch all future episodes by visiting ycst.info/podcast.